Ahrens.
Hi.
Hi,
Thanks for
Nat.
having me.
Thanks so much for being here. So today, guys, this is a really timely Facebook Live that we're doing to help everyone cope and chillax with us live online. We're going to be doing a live meditation, and first we'll chat a bit with Nadia about ways that we can cope with so much of the stress and anxiety that we're all feeling right now. It's this like global experience, which has been really profound and fascinating, hasn't it? Maybe before we dive in, I'll just tell you guys a little bit about Nadia. She is a psychotherapist and transformational coach in private practice. She's a graduate of Boston University and Columbia University. She's a New Yorker, and she's been practicing the art of helping, teaching, and mentoring others for nearly 20 years now. She's amazing. Nadia teaches personal transformation groups and retreats and is a trained clinical hypnotherapist. So she's done a lot of really incredible, sort of intensive guided hypnotherapy meditations on the Thyroid Refresh site for us, which have been incredible. And we've gotten a lot of amazing feedback on those. I know I've used them several times. They're just, they're the things you come back to over and over, right, Danna?
Mm-hmm. The blue light. I just love the blue light meditation. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, good. I'm so happy.
Yes.
Helpful.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, it's a healing blue light throat chakra meditation that Nadia made for us.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you can find Nadia on Facebook. Do you want them to find you at Nadia Ahrens Therapy?
It's Nadia Ahrens MSW Transformational Coaching. I also have a private Facebook group for women called Transform the Shit Out of Your Life Tribe. And you can also find me on at my website and on Instagram, Nadia Ahrens, all one word, for Instagram and my website.
Well, one of the things that we love and appreciate so much about your approach and how it's different is that you really focus on transformational trauma. Because you went through a severe trauma of your own in losing your son, Jack, at 8 years old. And you decided you had this like metamorphosis, right? Which is what we all want, right? The transformation. That's why we're all here. And you were able to embrace that and try to help people move through what life throws at us with grace and with possibility, right?
Right. And, I want to say, it may look like grace and possibility, but internally it was, as you can imagine, the most painful and horrific experience anyone could ever go through in life. And I had this moment on the floor of his room where I was like, I just want to die. And I just want to just not live my life because there was so much pain that I felt. And then in the next moment, I thought of my grandmother, who at the time was 98 years old. And she just died last year at almost 102. And I thought, okay, I have her genes and I'm likely going to be here for a while, and living my life as a victim is not an option. And the only other choice I have is to transform the shit out of the worst experience that I will ever experience in my life, which is how I, eventually 2 years later, formed, my business based on that moment. And so what I did, not to make my life transformational, but at that point, really to just get myself up off the ground and to function, were 4 things that I still use 4 years later. And it is meditation, which I know everybody gets freaked out when they hear that word. So I also like to use the word quiet time, just 5 minutes or 2 minutes starting if you're just starting with it. But it was meditation. Excuse me, I have allergies because the trees here in Seattle are in full bloom. So it was meditation, journaling, literally saved my soul. Feeling all of my feelings and not I was not repressing anything. It was all about expression, because the more you repress it, it's going to just stop the process, of healing, whatever your trauma is. And then eventually I was able to get exercise back into the mix, which is, it's not about fitting into a pair of jeans. And quite honestly, I haven't been in jeans in a month now. It's really more just, mental health, and so those 4 things have been my survival guide. And then I teach women how to empower themselves so that no matter what life throws your way, you have the tools to get through it. And so a lot of my work is, I have 2 decades of experience, but a lot of it is based on Jack. And now that everything is happening with COVID, I've been reflecting more. And I was less than 2 miles from 9/11. I saw that entire shit go down, and lived in it. I had to show my ID to the military to get into my apartment, and so if anyone, and this is not tooting my horn, because this is, you don't really want to have these experiences in your life, but if anybody could get you through something, I could get you through something, and so, there's an accountability with what I do. And there's also these tools like quieting yourself and like feeling the fears that come up, but not letting them overtake you, and learning how to really ground and center yourself, which is the meditation that I'm going to do for you guys today. It's all going to be about grounding, so we could release that fear that everybody is feeling these days, because there is an emotional contagion, which is, if you feel the fear, Ginny, Danna's going to feel it. I'm going to feel it. There's tons of research out there that fear, especially, but also like joy, anger, whatever, there's these, that emotions are contagious. And so it's more now than ever to be aware of what our emotional reactions are. And the more that we could create a space to not be as reactive, the better off everybody is going to be.
Well, and you might think, well, what does this have to do with thyroid? It has everything to do with it. It's any kind of curveball life throws at us. We have to choose how we're going to respond to that, how we're going to move through, whether it's a chronic illness, a devastating diagnosis, loss of a loved one, a horrible accident, a global pandemic. The principles are the same. Right. If there is potential in this tremendous crisis for us to benefit as individuals and on a global scale, which it's time. It is beyond time. Let's make this
soul chills.
Let's make this positive. And if we're going to do that, it's not about not feeling fear when fear is a normal response. It's about, let's also rise above that and calm down, so we can really think about, what is the lesson here? How do we need to show up differently for ourselves? And that happens on an individual level, and on a community level, and on a nationwide level, and on a planet-wide level. That's what we're trying to do here. It's all connected, right?
Absolutely. Things for me, thyroid is part of my life. So everything I do, my thyroid is always, in the background. So when we're doing all of these things, for me, it's like, this is all relevant because it all affects me and my body. And one of the things that really does help, or that I've been trying to do, I think Ginny and I talked about this yesterday in one of our groups, is this worry that you have and this fear that you have, and you're so afraid of having it and you don't want to have it. And fear sounds scary. And so you have this thing about fear. And I think that just owning it and letting it happen, as you said, one of the things you had to do when you were going through your trauma is just kind of like, let it happen and be in it and feel it. Right. I think that's one of the biggest things for people, is that they're like, no, and just owning it and doing it is very important.
And it's also about understanding how the fear does show up in your life, because it could be that fight or flight response, or the overdoer. and they've got to do something and rescue everybody and micromanage everything. And then there's the flip, which is the freeze response, which is you're under functioning and you just shut down. And so we are all experiencing this on a human level. Note how it shows up for you, feel it in order to move through it. And then what's happening, and I'm seeing this, with my clients and with family, is that once that fear kind of comes up and out, and it's going to happen in waves. Like right now I'm having a good day. The other day, not a good day, And so, it's recognizing that at any given moment, you're going to be feeling something differently. And then it's about, after you kind of feel it, that's when the deeper thoughts, like what Ginny was talking about, start to percolate. Why is this happening for me in this way? Because what I'm noticing is that whatever your deepest fear is showing up right now. If you are feeling that if your deepest fear is finances, all of your financial stuff is going to come up. If it's security, if it's abandonment or being alone, or fear of being out of control, all of the things are going to come up so that we can heal it. And so why is this happening for you is like the biggest question that I always ask, and then how do you want to be once this is over? I don't want to call it a quarantine. I'm calling it a global retreat. So it's a time that we could go within. Viktor Frankl, who is a big influence in my work, Man's Search for Meaning. It's a great book on the list of 100 books to read before you die. Talks about, he was in a concentration camp for 5 years, and he was a psychotherapist. And he talks about when everything is stripped away, when all of the external is stripped away, like going to work in our case, or traffic, or social commitments, or whatever it is, our mind has to focus on something. So when it's all stripped away, it starts to focus internally, which is where these deeper questions start to come up, like Ginny was talking about. And so, meditation is a good place to bring these questions, these deeper questions, and journaling are both good places to take these deeper questions so you could explore it differently, to say, hey, who do I want to be when we come out of this? And what do I believe in, and what matters? Because again, with trauma, all the things you think matter in your life no longer matter. Right. When you go through something. And we are all going through it because Mother Earth is like, it's time, people.
It's time.
I feel like the word of the moment is essential. What is essential and what is non-essential? I mean, isn't that what every facet of life is kind of weighing out right now? And totally. Every person is weighing out. Nod, I was hoping maybe you could just briefly talk a little bit about just kind of anxiety basics, because, I've had a little bit of anxiety. It hasn't been a huge thing in my life. And I know, I'm a pretty calm person, and I know the difference between freaking out and like just sort of normalized fear, right? Like freaking out never helps. Freaking out is like the panic, I'm going to go hoard all the toilet paper and do something drastic and throw a match at the pot, whatever.
Just hoarding all the toilet paper. That's a good example.
Right. Freaking out never helps. But I also, in spite of self-care and all that stuff and good diet and trying to sleep well, I have had a lump in my throat since the day this started, which apparently is a textbook anxiety symptom. I did not know that. So can you maybe just talk to us about, like, for people who maybe are sort of new to anxiety, and I've heard from a lot of friends who either they had a little anxiety, now they've got a lot, or they've never had it and they're going, why, what's happening to me? I don't, why is my heart fluttering throughout the day? Things like that. So can you just talk to us about that?
Yes. Before I say that, I just want to know there's a big mind-body connection, and it's not woo-woo. It's super research-based. Like if you think about it, your brain is, has all of these neurons and axons and synapses that connect to nerves that go throughout your body, right? And so that's the mind-body connection. It's nothing super woo-woo. The thyroid, as you guys know, is in the throat, which is the chakra of expression. And so, you know, as you're talking and you said the anxiety shows up as a lump in your throat, I'm like, well, duh, that's first good shot for you, girl.
Yeah.
You know, so
Throat
there
chakra.
is mind-body connection. So I just wanted to, also like listen to the words that you use in your everyday life. And that will also give you a key as to how you, move through things in your life. So I just wanted to kind of say that. But with anxiety, it shows up in a lot of ways. So a very simple way of understanding it is, if you are constantly focused in the past and you're thinking about regrets and coulda, woulda, shoulda, and if I had only done this, what's going to happen is that you're going to start to feel depressed because you can't go back and change it, right? That being said, if you're constantly future tripping and you're constantly worrying about, what the world is going to be like in the next 6 months, or how the hell am I going to homeschool my kids, or what are my finances going to look like? These are also out of your control. And when you're future tripping, that causes anxiety. And so what anxiety feels like in your body is, it's different for everyone, but however, some people have, there's a general thing, but there's the lump in your throat. There is stuttered or stammered speech. A lot of times people could get like skin flushes, like where their face gets all red and splotchy in their neck and their chest. Generally you get hot, your body temperature gets hot, and your pits start to sweat, and you get it's nervousness. This is the fight or flight mode, which is your sympathetic nervous system kicking in, which is anxiety. And so with diagnosed anxiety, it is a constant in your life, and then you have the everyday anxieties of, I got to hoard the toilet paper, or, my whole business is crashing around me, or, again, there are episodic forms of anxiety. And so, which is, really another word for fear and another word for worry. And as a therapist, it's just called anxiety because it's a diagnostic word, but it really is fear and how it shows up in your body. So the one way is the fight or flight response, which is your body getting hot, sweats, stuttered or stammered speech, the lump in your throat, your heart racing, like it's pounding out of your chest, face flushing, all anxiety.
Insomnia,
absolutely. Insomnia also shows up in depression. And what happens is there could be a cycle, where you feel so anxious that you get paralyzed, which is the parasympathetic nervous system kicking in, which is the freeze response. And then you go into a depression. So it's actually it could be a cycle. And so with the freeze response, it's the opposite. Your body shuts down and your body gets cold, loss of appetite. You basically look and feel like a zombie, like you're kind of the walking dead, and all you want to do is just lay around and put the covers over your head. And so it's important to know which is your default, because the easiest and quickest way out of it, and my clients tell me this is the magic pill, and sometimes they get mad at me that they've been working with me for months or a year, and then I tell them this, they're like, how are you just telling me this right now? And I was like, well, it just hasn't come up until now. So if you get the fight or flight, right, and your body gets hot, what's happening is your amygdala is your fear center, and that's what's kicking in. And that is your reptilian brain. It's the oldest part of your brain, and it literally thinks that it's getting chased by a saber-toothed tiger. And so you're going to run from it or you're going to fight it. And so your adrenaline is all kicked up. And so you can't, like, your prefrontal cortex, the one that's hanging out right now with us, being like normal human beings, they can't work at the same time. So the minute that your amygdala gets activated, you can't just say, oh, you're not getting chased by the saber-toothed tiger, let's just be normal. You have to work physiologically. And so if you get hot and you start to get the lump in your throat, the heart racing, any of the sweats, any of those, get an ice pack or ice water, like literal ice cubes in your water, and drink it. Because as your body starts to cool down with the ice, it sends a signal to your brain, to your amygdala, saying, oh, she's no longer getting chased by the tiger. I could calm down now. And this part of your brain will get reactivated.
Huh.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and the flip of that is that if you go into freeze response, which is basically like those little documentaries that you see with like the animals, and it's so cute and it's hanging out by the river, and then all of a sudden a predator comes and it keels over. Have you ever seen documentaries like that?
Yes.
That's the freeze response. And your blood, your heartbeat slows down, your body temperature slows down, and it mimics being dead. And it's a survival mode. Both of them are survival modes. And so the predator comes, sniffs the animal, says, this is a dead animal, I don't want it, and leaves. And then the animal shakes off, and then it kind of goes along its way. We have these same responses because we're part of nature. And so when we have that freeze response, our body gets cold. And we just want to shut down, and our blood pressure goes down, all the things. And so in that case, again, we want to send the message to the amygdala that it's safe, So we have to warm our body up.
Oh, okay.
Any herbal tea, hot water, like those things that you put in the microwave that have all the smelly things in it that you put on your body, like the lavender stuff, or a heating blanket. Like I literally have a heating blanket on my bed from like September to July because I go into freeze response. And so, so once your body warms up, then you could get back into your prefrontal cortex and kind of go about your day. So it's important to really start to tune into your body, because your body is a decoder for your mind. So how you're feeling in your body is going to give you cues on how to work with yourself, essentially.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for those great tips.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
The magic pill.
Before we do our meditation, I was kind of thinking about like well, I guess my question is, how can we shift? What are some other ways? I know, like, heat, cup of tea, or ice water, depending on, whether you're overheating or going into freeze response. Are there some other things we can do to shift out of the worry spiral? Like, one thing I heard recently from a psychologist was make a worry appointment, so that you have a container for, and you can set aside a time, and then the rest of the day, I'm going to turn this worry spiral off, because tomorrow at 10 a.m. I know I'm going to give myself 30 minutes with my journal to just let it out and expel it, and in many ways, like, take the power away from it. Are there other things like that?
I have one question that always works. Is this true?
Byron Katie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a really great reality check. And it's like, is this true? Okay, if it is, what can I do about it right now? Because worry is such a needless emotion, and we've been conditioned to believe, and I think especially as women, that if I worry about you, that means I care about you and I love you, you know, and it's ugh, like who energetically wants that? Like, please don't worry about me. You know, it's very, you know, it puts you in a victim mode and it puts the other person in a rescuer mode, and it's not helpful, you know? And so that's really, you know, such a powerful question. Is this true? And if it's not, you know, can you let it go? Another question to ask yourself is this worry mine?
That's a good one.
I love that. Is this worry mine?
Or is this someone else's that I'm just projecting? Do I like that?
Right. Well, because we're energetic beings, right? And going back to that emotional contagion, if Danna is feeling fear and then I start to feel fear, that's not mine. So then I get to choose whether or not I want to take it on. You know, and again, it's creating that space to have a response versus a reaction.
And those are really good tips to stay in the present, like Jenny and I were talking about yesterday, because living in the past doesn't help. Worrying about the past, worrying about the future, there isn't anything you can do, right? It robs you of the day, and that's just being in your head. And so those are good questions to use to try to pull you back out of your head and quit the thinking, because all that is just your mind racing. You're just in there yourself going, what if this is, it's your mind. So those are really good questions to bring you out of that, to keep you very present. I love that, Nadia. Thank you.
And when you start to tune into your body versus your mind, it also shifts it, you know, because it's like, I mean, we could all spin out until the cows come home, you know? And so, you know, it's about what can you do to shift out of your mind and into your body? Is it taking a walk out? I mean, taking a walk out in nature is, you know, one of the best recipes for worry and anxiety and depression. In Japan, therapists literally prescribe this to their clients, saying, go, and there are actual forests in Japan specifically to chill you the fuck out. You know, and it's like the minute, you know, it's like with the oxygen and the chlorophyll and all of these amazing things, your serotonin increases and your cortisol decreases, and the cortisol is the anxiety and the stress hormone. And so, you know, one of the things also is stopping the negative thinking that runs in your head. And, you know, can you make a list of all the negative thoughts and then counter it with positive thoughts? Because, and this isn't any sort of woo-woo pop psychology thing. When you think positive thoughts, your serotonin levels increase and your cortisol decreases. When you think negative thoughts, your serotonin decreases and your cortisol increases. And so be conscious of what you're saying, but what you're thinking, you know, and maybe start to be, you know, grateful for all the things that you are complaining about. And when you start to recognize how often our brain complains, you're going to start to really shift that around.
Yeah.
One of the things I heard, I can't remember who it's from, but they call it choose again, which I love. So if you have a negative thought, you choose again. You go, okay, you accept it, you realize, you notice it, and then you forgive yourself, and then you choose again. Then you go, okay, well, all right, well, and you turn it around. It's just you choose again. You give yourself permission to just decide something different.
And also, you know, it's hard work. I want to acknowledge that. Like, it's not like, oh, just, you know, choose again. Oh, just have positive thoughts. Like, it really is. We've been conditioned over generations how to think and believe. And again, now is the time to go to question everything. Like, quite honestly, our patriarchy is coming down, and I couldn't be more excited about that, because we are entering a space where the feminine is really coming into fruition. And so, and that's all about it's about connection and not competition. And it's about having some grace for yourself, because again, we were conditioned to have these negative thoughts and beliefs and compete and that's all, and war and all the things, conflict, like that's not our natural state of being. We're gatherers, we're not hunters. And so it's about, it's hard work to start to shift your mindset, and you got to give yourself some grace. Like, I had a great day, and then I lost it on one of my kids yesterday, and I was like, well, there goes that, but then I'm like, all right, you know what? I got to give myself some grace. I have to give her some grace. And then you move on, and so I do want to acknowledge that it is, when you're learning something new, it's, there are those growing pains, and we're all in a global growing pain right now, because everything is new and it's forcing us to stay in the present. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, like that's what he talks about, like the negative in the past, like the past is going to be depression. This future is going to be anxiety. And so the only place that suffering ceases to exist is the absolute present. And that is what we're forced to be in right now, because at any given moment, some governor or leader is going to make a call, and then we're going to have to shift and pivot in a different direction, and so there is no planning right now. And it is a real gift, if you could see it that way, of being in the present. And it's hard, and we're being forced to do it, which is a really beautiful thing, because when we're in this chrysalis, like the caterpillar to the butterfly, the caterpillar actually turns into liquid goo before it turns into the butterfly, liquid goo. And
wow.
So isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
Like it literally turns into liquid.
Huh.
Yeah. In order to transform into the butterfly. And so humanity is a whole bunch of liquid goo right now. Like we're, and
liquid goo.
We're liquid goo, people. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Peace out.
Very messy. Very messy. And it does feel messy right now. But yeah, I think, especially for those of us who have the luxury of our health right now, I've always said, if you're drawing breath, you have something to be grateful for.
Right.
It's a gift to be alive, and it's really put so much into perspective for all of us. And that's a huge gift if we can be mindful enough and get out of our heads enough to embrace it and back into our bodies. A couple of thoughts. You definitely taught me, Nadia, that how important exercise is for mental health. I know for anybody watching, we have so many amazing home workout videos on Thyroid Refresh. A lot of them are members only, but we do have several free ones as well. So make use of those. I think exercise is good that way, beyond just burning calories. It brings us back into our body. And of course, I think the overarching theme today is the power of the mind, right? And I once heard Ariana Huffington talk about her mother, and how when Ariana would go to her mother and would be complaining about something, her mother would say, change the channel. I don't like this
channel. I like that.
You know what? We do have that control. We have the remote. Bloop. Let's put the clicker on our own brains and
chills again. I'm gonna use that one. So good.
I love it.
I don't want to watch this channel.
I don't.
And of course, I'm just going to pop this in really quick before we do our meditation. Thyroid 30, it's enrollment right now. Enrollment ends this weekend. And what it does, what we've created is this container for you guys to step into and invite your own transformation through choices for your well-being, choices that support your well-being, and becoming more mindful of what those choices are, whether they're about self-care, soul care, movement, nutrition, whatever it is you're working on right now, or the whole thing. all of that is part of Thyroid 30. And so we really feel like, we've been preparing for this since the day we started this journey in 2017. I mean, this really is a tremendous resource. We know you guys are, we're in a tough economic situation. So we have incorporated the option for anyone to name their price for Thyroid 30. So just pay what you can. We want you guys to have this, and we want you to be able to have the tools and the resources like Nadia's amazing meditations. All those resources you have, every resource you could possibly need to get through this 30-day wellness adventure is provided for you with Thyroid 30. So don't miss out. The window is closing as we speak. Go to thyroidrefresh.com/thyroid30 to sign up or just learn more about what that is. It's been incredible and life-changing for us and for so many of our regular players. I know I've seen a couple of you guys here today, so thank you for being here. But yeah, should we meditate?
Let's meditate.
Okay.
Do we have the little special picture up?
Yeah, I'm going to put it up right now. So you guys are not going to see our faces. You'll see our names and you'll hear Nadia talking, but you're going to see different pictures. So let me go ahead and do that.
I'm going to mute myself so I'm not like heavy breathing into my microphone here.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay. You guys hear the music okay? Okay, so I want to start by having you guys get in a really comfortable position, closing your eyes, and taking a deep breath in. And as you release it, you feel a wave of relaxation from your head to your toes. Taking another deep breath in and releasing and relaxing and letting go. Taking one more deep breath in from the soles of your feet up the base of your spine, out the top of your head. And now picture or imagine that you're a tree. Beautiful, old tree with a strong trunk. Beautiful leaves or flowers. Any type of tree that comes to you. Breathing in the embodiment, this old, wise tree. And now bring your attention to the base of your spine and picture or imagine or feel the roots of this tree flowing all the way down into Mother Earth. Imagining those roots flowing all the way down through that sparkly, rich earth and soil. and attaching to the center of the earth. And taking a deep breath in, feeling Mother Earth's grounding energy flowing up that trunk, up the roots, up into the trunk, the base of your spine, and out the top of your head. Breathing in groundedness and breathing out worry, fear, anxiety. Imagining that worry flowing down the roots and knowing that it's transmuted, that Mother Earth transmutes it into grounding, loving energy. Breathing in peace and earth. Breathing out fear and worry. Continuing to connect to the earth. And now let a message come to you from Mother Earth about your healing journey. And why this is happening for you. And how you choose to be on this planet. In a moment, we'll come back into the room, feeling refreshed and relaxed and grounded in Mother Earth energy. One, coming back into your body. Two, taking a deep breath in. Three, wiggling your fingers and your toes. Four, knowing you could connect to this tree and Mother Earth at any time. And five, thanking your body for the messages, opening your eyes, feeling relaxed and refreshed, aware and awake.
Thank you.
Woo.
That was muted. Oh my gosh, I feel so much better.
Aww.
Look at the sun. You're like glowing right now.
I know, right? You are.
You know,
Can I
Thank you. Namaste.
Love you, baby.
Love you too. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us and with our community. And thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Supporting all of our healing journeys. We're so lucky to have Nadia as part of our Thyroid Refresh Advisory team. So thank you again. And thank you all for being here and for watching with us today.
See you next time, guys. Thanks.
Bye.